Good morning to you, Chancellor. Let's start, should we, where John ended up. Are you going to cut... Good morning. Are you going to cut taxes before the next election? Let's just go with a yes or no.
Well, we started cutting taxes yesterday, Kay, our priority being those on the lowest incomes. It's a tax cut for 2 million families, and it's not going to come in until, well, it's not going to come in as normal next April. It's going to come in a few weeks' time so we can get help to people right now. But as I said very clearly yesterday, my ambition is to lower taxes for people. That's what I would like to do as Chancellor. We had to take some corrective action as a result of the crisis and the response we took to it. But hopefully that now is done. And as we demonstrated yesterday, our priority is to make sure that work pays, we reward people's efforts. And I'm delighted that we could make a start on that yesterday.
OK, will there be income tax cuts before the next election? Go on, go with yes or no.
No, OK, let's talk about this budget rather than all the other ones.
Well, this is what a lot of people have been asking, and certainly a lot of Tory backbenchers want to know the answer to that. So, asking for a friend.
Well, I spend time with them myself, actually. But look, I think I made a very clear demonstration of our intent yesterday. And I think it's important to remember why are we in this position. A year ago, we outlined our plan for jobs at a time when people they feared the worst. And because of the plan that we put in place, which the independent forecaster yesterday described as remarkably successful, we've managed to ensure that economic growth is recovering, the economy's growing well, many more people in work, unemployment is far lower than feared. And because of that, yesterday, we had a budget that will deliver a stronger economy for the British people. So stronger public services, investment in our future growth, backing businesses, much like the ones I'm surrounded by today, but also supporting working families by freezing fuel duty and cutting taxes on the lowest paid. But we were able to do all of that because of the actions we took last year.
OK, highest tax rate since the 1950s, inflation potentially up to 5%, interest rates potentially 3.5%. You made no apology for any of that. That's all common knowledge. National insurance, of course, going up in April as well. How much more will you personally be paying with your national insurance? Do you know?
Yeah. Well, the thing about national insurance is it's a progressive tax, and it's been described as such by all of the various commentators when it was outlined. But as you said, the tax burden, as I said yesterday, I'm uncomfortable with it where it is, and I'd like to see taxes come down on people, which is why we took a first step on that yesterday. And with regard to inflation, that's absolutely right. That's one of the many challenges that I have to grapple with as a Chancellor. I explained yesterday to provide hopefully some reassurance to the country that the bulk of the inflation we're seeing is the result of two global forces. One, economies reopening and supply chains being under pressure, and secondly, energy prices. Now, I don't have a magic wand, and it would be irresponsible of me to stand here and tell you I could make those global problems disappear overnight. I can't. But where the government can take action to help with the cost of living, whether it's through things like freezing fuel duty or cutting taxes for the lowest paid, or indeed things like investing in lorry park facilities, which the Transport Secretary announced yesterday to help attract people into that profession. Where we can make a difference, of course we will.
OK, back to the question. We've made a calculation that your national insurance will be £8,500, given your salary of £148,000 as the Chancellor. Given that you earn a good salary, and given that you did very well in the city, and you're very comfortably off, do you feel that that is enough of a contribution by you?
Well, I think national insurance is a progressive way to raise money. The top 14% of income earners on national insurance end up contributing over half of all the sums raised from that tax rise. So I think actually it is a progressive way to raise money. Those with the broadest shoulders will carry more of the burden. And it's important to remember, what was that for? That was money for the NHS, our #1 priority, to help the NHS recover and make a start on tackling the significant backlogs that have built up during the crisis, and to implement the Prime Minister's landmark reforms to social care, something that many other governments have not been able to achieve. So that's what that money is there for. Look, there's no easy way to raise tax. There's no perfect way to do it. It's not something that's fun,
though, Chancellor.
Or people
with all
not
due
to do.
respect,
But
forgive
the
me,
question
we only have a limited amount of time. But it's always vulgar
if you
to talk
think
about
there's a
money,
better
isn't
way
it?
to
Of course,
raise
but
it,
I can talk money with the Chancellor, can I not? If I can't talk money with the Chancellor, then who can I? You're worth tens of millions of pounds. If You are paying £8,500 in national insurance, and you've got a very, very healthy bank balance. Do you think that is fair? Do you think that is levelling up?
I think what levelling up is I'm standing here in the world-famous Bury market, which yesterday received £20 million from our Levelling Up Fund to improve the market, create new jobs, and ensure that places like Bury see investment. That's levelling up in practice, making sure people's communities are fantastic places to live. Levelling up is about spreading opportunity around the country, making sure that wherever people are, they have the skills, the opportunities to train. Those are the kinds of things that levelling up means. And with regard to making sure that we help everyone, yesterday we cut taxes for 2 million of the lowest paid people in the country. So that is a very clear statement of both my values, the government's values, and our desire to help those who absolutely need our help the most.
So I'm going to take that as yes, you think £8,500 is enough on your salary and wealth. The IFS, though, given what you've just been saying, they say living standards will stagnate for people who've had a really hard time, and that's because of the higher taxes. From what you're saying, you disagree with the IFS?
Well, I think I'd look at the measures that we've put in place. As we've just talked about, a tax cut for 2 million of the lowest paid people in our country, and I think your report was showing, so a single mother with 2 kids who's renting will be better off by about £1,200 a year. A couple where someone is working full-time and someone is working part-time on the national living wage with 2 kids renting will be £1,800 a year better off. The national living wage went up yesterday to £9.50, and that will mean £1,000 more for someone who's working full-time on the national living wage. So there are lots of things we are doing that will help people keep more of their money, ensure that they can earn more, and keep the cost of living down. For example,
the IFS says that living standards will stagnate. Do you disagree?
Well, actually, coming into this crisis, other think tanks said we were enjoying a mini living standards boom and real household disposable income was increasing at a reasonably rapid rate. And people will look at the measures that we've announced, whether it's freezing fuel duty, cutting taxes for millions of the lowest paid, the national living wage going up, all the investment we're putting into people's skills to make sure that they can get retraining or learn new things that will help them earn more. Those are all the types of things we can do to raise living standards. And I'm confident that over the next few months and years, just as we have over the last 12 months seen success in our economic plans, we will continue to see that success going forward.
OK, let me ask you about the climate then instead. Fuel duty frozen again, air passenger duty reduced for national travel. Do you not care about the environment?
Oh, hang on, Kate. Just a minute ago, you were asking me about living standards for people and the cost of living, and now you're upset that we're freezing fuel duty or making it cheaper on passenger
what I'm doing
duty.
is asking you whether you don't care about the environment.
With fuel prices,
I ask the questions, you do the answers, Chancellor.
Yeah, we just talked about this, and with fuel prices at almost a decade high, I didn't think it was the right thing to do to add to people's costs by increasing fuel duty. And with regard to air passenger duty, I think what you didn't mention is we also are introducing a new band for ultra-long-haul flights so that those who fly the furthest to places like Japan or Chile will see a higher rate of air passenger duty.
Not much of a higher rate, to be fair, Chancellor. Not much of a higher rate.
And at the same time, well, actually, if you look at the impact on carbon, the overall, I think, view from the independent forecast yesterday was taken in totality. The measures that we are taking put us further along the path to net zero and reduce climate emissions.
Okay.
And that's just one of the things we're doing. We're also investing money in creating what are called sustainable aviation fuel plants in the UK. A passion of the Prime Minister's to find, a new form of aviation fuel that's more sustainable. That was all outlined last week in the net zero strategy. And it's important to remember that aviation in general accounts for, I think, just about 8% of our emissions, and the domestic bit of that, which you referred to at the beginning, is about 4% of the 8%. So obviously this is a small amount.
OK, your opposite number, Rachel Reeves, saying at least bankers and short-haul flights, on short-haul flights, will be cheering with champagne. So that's their view on that. I'll put it to her in the next hour. I suppose COP is all about action, though, isn't it? Not in 2050, but now. So why are you instead benefiting motorists and people who are on short-haul flights rather than worrying about emissions?
Well, we do worry about emissions, and that's why last week we outlined a comprehensive net zero strategy. The Prime Minister put that out there. It's, I think, widely been considered one of the most comprehensive plans of any government anywhere in the world. It was backed up with £30 billion of investment across the board in areas like offshore wind, nuclear, hydrogen, carbon capture and storage, the electrification of our car fleet, as you rightly mentioned. All those things are covered in it. So we're very clearly and credibly on a path to net zero. But I just pick up on one thing. I think you said my Labour opposite number was upset that we were going to cut the duty on sparkling wine and champagne. I'm not going to make any apologies for that. We have an irrational system at the moment of how we tax alcohol. The new system we're going to bring into place is going to be simpler, it's going to be fairer, and it's going to be healthier, and it's going to support pubs. And I know many people enjoy, whether it's a bottle of Prosecco to celebrate something. We've seen sparkling wine sales in the country double in just the last 5 years, fueled by actually bottles of Prosecco that may cost £7 or so, and the price of those bottles will come down by about 87p. And I think that's a good thing, actually, because everyone, when something good happens, wants to celebrate with a bit of bubbly, and we're actually going to remove the completely irrational duty premium that those drinks currently bear. They're no more alcoholic than still wine, but yet they pay a lot more duty. That seems to me to be unfair and silly, and I'd like to be able to sort that out.
Celebrating with champagne, maybe not those that are struggling to feed their kids, but that's perhaps for another day. Carbon emissions, is that the best place for you to be this morning?
Well, actually, on that point, if
I could ask the question, because we're almost out of time. You are at a meat market today. Why are you in a meat market when we're told to eat less meat to try and cut down on carbon emissions?
I'm not telling anyone to eat less meat. And you mentioned children. Actually, yesterday's budget confirmed £200 million a year for the Holiday Activity and Food Programme, which is a new programme that this government has introduced to provide enriching activities and meals for children outside of term time. That was something that the spending review yesterday confirmed, as well as actually lots of investment to help young families, and especially new parents who are struggling with various things, because it's something that we believe is important. Those early days in children's lives and young parents' lives are really important, and as a result of the actions we took yesterday, we're going to be able to do more to support them, which I think is important.
You're not telling people to eat less meat, but your chief scientific advisor is to try and cut down on carbon emissions.
There's lots of different ways that we can tackle climate change, and last week the Prime Minister outlined the net zero strategy. I don't think there was anything about that in there, but what there was the green industrial revolution, as he would describe it, with investment to catalyse the industries of the future, to help us make the transition and in the process create lots of jobs, and that's exactly what we're trying to do.
I like to think I took a small role in you finally getting a dog. How is the dog? Yes, you did. The dog, she's great, thank you. Growing quickly and a handful. So, but she'll start needing some proper runs soon. So you might see me out and about. And the kids are thrilled, I'm guessing.
She's good. I'm looking forward to spending. Yeah, they are thrilled, doing more to help finally, which is also good. And I'm looking forward to actually spending a bit more time with her now that I've got this budget out of the way.
Fantastic. We'll see you at COP26 next week. Thanks a lot, Chancellor.
See you next week, Kate. Thank you.
Thank you.